I'm going to qualify my message tonight and let you know that I'm not a pastor. I did not go to Bible college or seminary. I'm a teacher, and Pastor Zach told me I get to teach. And so that's why I feel ready. I am empowered for this teaching. And so what am I going to teach you? First of all, let me show you the title of my message. It's my journey. This is my personal journey of being mad at God to becoming God's favorite. I want to tell you how that happened and how I was mad, but now I know I'm God's favorite. If you think you're God's favorite, I'm sorry to tell you, you are not. Now, I want to review Pastor Zach's message from Sunday and show you how his message came to fruition in my life. And here's his message, if you don't recall, or maybe you do. How can I know what God's will is for my life? And I'm going to teach you this through a subject that I'm teaching. So I've been a high school teacher for a long time. This is my 35th year as a teacher. That's a ridiculous number to be doing anything for 35 years, 34 in the public school, and this year is my first year at Linfield High School. Let's go, Lions. Future, yep. And I'm going to just tell you, this is not in my notes. This is what Pastor Zach would call for free, that what an honor it is for me to be teaching in a place where I can profess my faith every day, and where, if I need to, I can still get a teaching like I did today when I left my classroom at lunchtime, went downstairs to see my fellow elder and pastor, Matt, who gave me a teaching that helped me with tonight's message. So thank you, Matt, for that. And it was just, it was one of those things that just gave me some extra peace, so I appreciate it. But no, we're not going to learn. We're going to learn, and this is going to give you some chills right now on what we're going to learn. We're going to learn the subject that I'm teaching this year. I am teaching, take notes. I hope you're going to take notes today. We're going to take a quiz afterwards. The ushers are going to bring Scantrons and number 2 pencils, so be ready. I'm going to tell you what my students are going to learn next week. They're called conditional statements. What's a conditional statement? All right, it's going to give you some chills. You're going to remember this. A conditional statement is an if-then. If this happens, then this happens. You think I'm joking about the geometry? Watch this. Okay, here's your first quiz question, so make sure you're taking notes. That if an angle measures 90 degrees, then what kind of angle is it, class? A right angle. All right, very good. All right, here's another one. This one's going to give you some real chills. The next one. If parallel lines are cut by, do you remember this one? Parallel lines cut by a transversal. This one is so useful in the real world. I mean, you probably use this every day. If they are, then, go ahead. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Do we remember that one? Okay. You know, this one is actually useful. If you're lousy at parallel parking, this one will help you. But I'm going to tell you that you've been learning these conditional statements all your life, even at the dinner table. Let's go to the next one. That if you eat all of your vegetables, then what are you going to get? Then you get dessert. You see, if this happens, then this happens. Next one. If you brush and floss every day, then your dentist is going to be happy because what? Your teeth will stay healthy. And then this one is kind of a conditional statement that's happening near and dear to me. If your wife has a travel addiction, then you will never retire. Hence the 35 years of teaching, 36 in my future too. So this is how I was trained as an engineer and as a naval officer, that if this happens, this happens. And sadly, this is the way that I thought I was to pray. So I'm going to give you a little story. And this is what I do to my students all the time. They give them stories that when my wife and I got married, well, of course, we were going to have kids and we were going to become parents. I come from a family of 9. My dad, there's 8 kids in his family. My brother has 7 kids. That's a crazy amount. That's Garcia-like practically. That's a lot of kids. And, Rebecca and I, we counted that we have 43 nieces and nephews, including grandnephews right now. That is an insane amount. So, of course, we were going to add to that, and we were going to have kids. So, yeah, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. We didn't get kids. And we're like, what is going on? We're supposed to have them. I know I'm going to be a good dad. She's going to be a good mom. And we have to add to the family numbers. And it wasn't happening. So I prayed a conditional prayer. And here is the prayer that I prayed. I said, if you just allow us to get pregnant, God, then I will never miss a church service, and I will believe in you. You see, this was the wrong prayer, and I didn't know it because this is how my brain operated. It was me trying to control things, deciding this is how many kids I needed to have. And God heard my prayer, and his answer was, no, that's not how you're going to do it. That's not my plan for you. And I had to learn that truth. And what he did, in his goodness, even though my prayer was wrong, in his goodness, he gave us a way. He gave us a way that I never even considered. And you guys are probably thinking, well, it's so obvious. You should look into adoption. And it was something that was completely foreign to my family, to Rebecca and I. We had no knowledge about this. And so, yes, a way was provided through the County of San Diego. We learned about adoptions. We learned about the need for adoptive parents. We learned that there were so many kids in the foster care system. We did so much learning, and we took classes and learned how to become parents. Yeah, they taught us how to become a parent, not like a natural way of you just have a kid and then you got to figure it out, right? They actually told us what to do and how to discipline and all of these lessons that we learned. And yeah, God heard my terrible prayer, and he still found a way because he's a good father, right? And so the result was it worked. In 6 months from us being approved for adoption, things worked like clockwork the way they're supposed to work, and we got a picture of who was supposed to be in our family. And here is my oldest, John, who's now 27, and he was just turned 2 years old, and we got this picture, and yeah, like some of you, I mean, it just melted us. It just was like, right, come on. You're so good, God. Thank you so much for this. Now, it's kind of crazy that, I didn't know how to pray because I had learned a prayer when I was 6 years old, and I had said it many times, and it's a prayer that a prayer that Pastor Zach discussed on Sunday. Jesus told us how to pray. He says, this then is how you should pray. I'm just going to give a little tiny snippet of Matthew 6, verses 9 through 10. He says, this is how you should pray. Go ahead. Your kingdom come, your will be done. And so what happened next is a couple of years go by, and we're like, okay, we did it. We got this. We got this. We have a son. He needs a little brother. And Rebecca and I were like convinced. He needs a brother. He's got to be 2 years younger. He's going to be Hispanic. He's going to be this and that. I mean, again, here we are in our thinking. But we were open. We were a little bit more willing. We had started to mature, and we did finally pray the right prayer. And this is it. Father, we're going to give it to you. Father, in this and in every situation, your will be done. We're going to give it to you. I surrender the situation to you. Reveal your will for us. And so now this is what happened. This is really interesting. And it might scare some of you who might be thinking about maybe adoption. We went to something called an adoption fair. In San Diego County, there were so many kids who needed to be adopted that they would have these fairs. They'd have like a room like this with pictures on the wall of kids that needed to be adopted. And Rebecca and I went to this, and we were completely freaked out. We're like, we cannot do this. This is not a pet adoption. This is a child. We're not going to do this. And most of the kids were sibling groups. We saw like sibling groups up to 6 that needed a forever home, and it just blew us away, and we couldn't do it. And so we went back and we did some more praying, and there was another adoption fair, and we're like, do we do this? And we prayed on it, and we decided, okay, well, we know what's going on now. Let's go and find our son who's 2 years younger than our oldest, our one son. And so we did. We went to the room again, knowing that there were going to be pictures on the wall. And we said, okay, we're going to do this independently. And again, we prayed on it. Father, show us your will in this situation. And we both worked the room independently and said, okay, let's find that little boy. And there were a lot of little boys. And so we came back, and the adoption workers they're holding like flyers, like, it's kind of weird. They're holding flyers like profiles of these kids. And we sat down at the table and we said, okay, on 3, we're going to reveal our profile. And we did. 1, 2, 3, turned it over and take a look at what happened here is that it wasn't a little boy 2 years younger. It was these 3 that just spoke to us and gave us an amazing peace. And this is what I had the conversation with Matt about is how do you know? How do you know when God's will is revealed? Well, the book of Hebrews tells you that we have a God of peace. He wants peace in our lives. He wants to heal us and give us peace. And that's what we had. If it's not peaceful, then it's not from God. But this was right. The Holy Spirit was just working us and telling us, this is it. This is where you should be. This is my will for you. And now this is my family. Now it was revealed, his will was revealed in other places that I didn't consider. In that book that Pastor was carrying around on Sunday, in all of these places. Why? Next one. Why? Where is his will revealed? It's revealed in the Word. And you can take a look. We're going to go through a bunch of verses here. Starting with Isaiah 1, it tells us, it told me to defend the orphans. Next one, defend the cause of the weak and the fatherless. Next one, Proverbs, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Next one of my favorites from James, religion that our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. All of these should have spoken to me, and they didn't at first, and it took some maturing. And so how do you mature? Well, you read, and you study, and you meditate, and you make it part of the rhythm of your life. What's really interesting is that just this week, I asked my kids, I've never asked them this question, is like, what was it like to be adopted? How do you feel about being adopted? And they told me, and they said, it was normal. It was, you're my dad. She's my mom. That's the way it is. Now, we know about our past. We know that there was a before, but you're my, and that's when it hit me. I'm like, well, that's us. Take a look at this next verse, because this is exactly what Paul is describing for all of us. We had a past, but now we are in the family. We have been adopted. For those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God. I want that for me. I know you want that for you. The Spirit you receive does not make you slaves so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you receive brought about your adoption to sonship. That's all of you. How does it feel to be adopted? You know. All of you know, right? And by him we cry, Abba, Father. Here's a little fun fact that in every language in the world, the word for father is either Papa or Abba, because it's easy to say. And Abba, Papa. I'll come back to Papa in a second. But yeah, it happened the way that God wanted it to, right? He revealed his will. He gave us the peace. And so I was able to move from being mad at God because it didn't happen my way to being God's favorite. I'm going to show you why I know I'm God's favorite, because I got this. And if you look at the little girl on the rail, she calls me Papa. Let's go now. Come on. Yeah. Everybody in that picture shares 0% DNA with me, but they're my family. And you are family. You have been adopted. And so that if then, wrong prayer, if then, God, what is your will? Reveal your will. And when it happens, you will feel what the Bible says is the peace that surpasses understanding whenever it happens in God's timing and not yours. Now, there are conditional statements in the Bible. And I want to share one with you that has become very important to me. And it's this one. It's an if-then. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my faces and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This one was especially important to us because we meditated this on this one, and we studied this the first time our family went to Casa Esperanza to go love on those kids. And that trip, it changed our lives. It changed who we are. And just a little context about this. This is God speaking to Solomon. So we heard about David. David, when he died, he left the reins to his son Solomon. Solomon built the temple. David planned it. David collected the resources. And now Solomon built this unbelievable temple to the Lord. And God said, okay, you want my people back? This is how it's going to happen, this if-then. And, it's really interesting because so many times in the Bible, the message, the words are to somebody, but for us, right? And here's absolutely one of those cases. And we're not talking about healing a certain land. A lot of people get this confused. Is this how we're going to heal America? It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with you. It has to do with the healing that you may need. My family was healed by going to Casa Esperanza because we have the ultimate healer. The ultimate healer is Jesus Christ. He is the one who healed us, and he can heal you too.